Hi, my name is Laura and I have a unicorn uterus. I have had 5 pregnancies, 4 of them have been losses, and I've got my rainbow baby. I recently went through a miscarriage just last month, and the realisation I'd come to was that the previous losses that I'd gone through I'd not dealt with at all. I thought I had and I hadn't, and it was like a boulder that was behind me that I didn't realise I was holding back until I tripped up over what was apparently was a stick, and it came and squished me. So my most recent miscarriage was after my son was born, after another miscarriage prior to that, and I'd taken time to actually think about what it meant. I am a nurse in the fertility clinic, so there's no way I can escape the reminder of what I've lost and the ugly feelings that come along with it, the jealousy, the why me kind of feelings. And I wish I could have said this to myself when it first occurred, and it might not have blown me sideways quite as much. So I've gone through the whole, I don't know if there is really steps and stages, but the motions of why me, being angry about it, wanting to cry about it, wishing for support, finding ways of putting things into words, because when I first actually took some time to process it, it was like a scramble of emotions all laying over the top of each other and all shouting to be heard but not being very coherent. And it wasn't until I went to see a psychologist and actually talked about these feelings that it helped to go, whoa, what are you shouting about? What's your name? Can I help you, kind of thing. I started listening to various podcasts of the Worst Girl Gang Ever. I looked on the Miscarriage Association website for support and advice and things that can help. And it's taken a while to feel like I'm getting a grasp of it. Listening to the podcast, listening to other ladies' experiences helped me to put a name to these feelings. So sadness, grief, jealousy, and maybe a little bit of paranoia of, was it something I did? All the questions. And thinking about whether or not there was something wrong with me by not dealing with these things. So I feel like I'm now in a better space, a better mind frame to talk about them, to label them. Listening to these podcasts, I've learned that grief isn't something that you can rush through, that a pregnancy loss is a loss of not just the baby itself, but also the future you'd planned for them. So the birthdays, the Christmases, the holidays, and the loss of that. After my son was born, I thought I was in the clear. I thought that this couldn't happen again. So when I miscarried earlier this year, I thought, no, it's not fair. Why? I've had a baby. My body knows what it's doing now. Why again? And because I didn't allow myself to process it at that point, when I then miscarried in June, it kind of gave me and hit me double time. So the Worst Girl Gang Ever have done a survival guide for pregnancy loss, and one of the chapters they talk about is about marking your loss. Until I acknowledged that the pregnancies weren't just a ball of pregnancy cells, they were actual babies, they were hopes, they were dreams for them. It wasn't until then that I could start to realise they were meant something more than that. So the way that I found it best to help me was to make these videos, to validate my feelings, to actually air them out and say them out loud to myself. And then I wanted something a bit more permanent, a bit more to show for my losses. So there are general things, other things that people do to help mark their loss. Some people plant a tree or change part of their garden so they've got a space to go to. Some people keep the pregnancy tests, some people keep the scan images. I am one of them that keeps the scan images. Some people get a piece of jewellery to help to mark it. Hi, Louie. And my way of marking it was to get a tattoo. I felt that if I got a piece of jewellery, I would lose it, knowing me, or it would become broken. And as I'm a nurse, I have to take jewellery off apart from a wedding band. So I thought with a tattoo, it was something that I could put on my body as a mark, as a physical mark, a way of saying they happened, I lost them, but they're a part of me. So I decided to get a flower for each loss in the month that they would have been born and have it on my forearm. I drew them along a line so that each of them had equal loss and equal feelings to them. And so that when I'm writing, they're there with me. I can look down and see them. If someone was to see it, they might ask me about it. And I found that the more that I've told my story, the easier it is for me to face, because it means that it was real, that it happened, and that the loss hurts, but that they're part of me. I recently discovered something called microchironism, which is where when a lady's pregnant, part of her maternal tissues goes into the baby and part of the fetal tissues goes into her, and her body keeps those cells. So in the next pregnancy, when she shares her cells with the fetus, part of the first fetus goes into the second one and they share again. And to look at my son and to think that he carries some of the miscarriage, some of the ectopic with him, I find comforting. So I hope this helps. If you want to find the book that I was reading, it is the Worst Girl Gang Ever podcast, or the Worst Girl Gang Ever Survival Guide After Pregnancy Loss, or there's the Miscarriage Association or Tommy's, which are websites that research miscarriage and offer support and information for ladies going through this. Please feel free to message me if you want to talk or have your story heard too. So I see you in the next video.